right, I'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Grange Public Library Board of Trustees to order at 7:05 p.m. May I have a roll call, please?
Katie?
Here.
Lisa?
Here.
Vicki, absent. Chantel?
Here.
Brittany?
Here.
Jessica?
Here.
Jennifer?
Here. Thank you. Welcome to our visitors tonight. And do we have any public comment? Any comments from the public? Would you like? No? Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second? I second. Roll call.
Katie?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Chantel?
Aye.
Brittany?
Aye.
Jessica?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Vicki, absent. Motion passed.
Okay. Welcome. It's Sean, right?
Yes, it is true.
Thank you for being here tonight. So, am I giving you our HDMI
I think so.
cable?
So I had a pointer. I was just talking with Peter. Kristen and I, you might know Kristen. I'm Sean from Ember Anderson. I work with Kristen Richardson, who's been the project manager for this project from us. She is out tonight at another board meeting. You guys seem to pick the same dates. And she's out with the computer, and she gave me the pointer, and the pointer is on my desk.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
I'll be waving.
Yeah.
So I'm here tonight to kind of walk you through the project, kind of give you an update on everything. We are coming to the end of what would be the design phase. At the end, we have a schedule that we can go through and I can kind of walk through that, but we kind of separated us into a design phase. The next phase for us is called construction documents. That's when we actually make the drawings and the images into the documents that the contractors will use to build it. That would be our next phase. The phases after that become bidding and construction, but I have a more of a detail that we can talk about now. But what we're going to talk about tonight is kind of we're coming toward basically the end of the design phase. We've worked together with a great team that had board members on it. I had some staff members on it, and we had our team, the design team, which is us, and the engineers kind of put together what you're going to see tonight. I wanted to start out with kind of just a summary. In, I think, 2024, if I looked that up correctly, we did a master plan for you, and we kind of looked at facility effectiveness throughout the building. That's a big piece of doing a master plan, is how well the building's working for you. What we are looking for are areas that are either overworked or underworked within the space. And on the second floor, this is your current second floor plan. We identified a couple areas, and I'm going to focus on the north side. North is up. Of areas that were underutilized, basically. The main one that we're going to discuss tonight is the quiet study room, but the overall kind of the layout is part of this. So when you come up the stairs, here's your stairway here. This dash line is your fire door, if you're wondering. You're immediately greeted by collections. You do have some collections right there, but you are stopped. Your progression into the space is limited. You either have to go left, which would be into the teen space, or you would go right, and you'd be able to see your desk. Generally, it's not an intuitive layout. So when you come up, you don't immediately kind of get a sense for the space. It's nice that you have a desk here, so you come up and you immediately can see staff, so you can orient your stuff that way. There is light coming through. This is generally open, so I'm not saying it's terrible. It's just maybe not as easy to intuitively understand how the space works. So we identified those as some of the areas that we would like to do in a bigger plan. And that led to a lot of great interaction with your library to this plan up here. So when you came up, you would see this is intended to be lower type shelving, so you get a big view of the space. One of the other main goals was to look at adding study spaces, which these had, and then identifying these two spaces as prime locations within your building areas that are underutilized but offer a lot of great amenities, and how do we get those more active? I think that you guys have seen a lot of success on the first floor in that entry space in the corner. I've never come here and not see someone in that area. I like sitting in that area. It's fun to people watch. So how do we get that energy to some of these other spaces that just are really not used as much? So the intention was bulk collections. We have some seating around the sides, adding some study rooms, relocating the desk here, and then seeing what we can do to Area 7. At the end of that, one of the thoughts was that we want to try to create a project that would start the master plan off. And the project that the board selected was to work on the quiet study room. The original concept actually was more of an open shared room. The idea now that we're going to be looking at is to create more of an enclosed space. And what you're seeing here is kind of an updated version. So some of the initial work that we did was test out that master plan. Bringing maybe a step further, how would all that work? What you're seeing here is a little bit of an updated version of what you just saw. So we still come up, we have browsable collections here. We refer to that as more of a marketplace area, this idea of more retail-based collection and display. We still have the desk, we still have a lot of study rooms. We did kind of take a couple of study rooms out of this plan and identify possibly one new one that could be done here in lieu of that. And then we looked at closing this off and making this a much more flexible space than before being open, still having use, but now we feel like we can expand it more. Also, by removing the study rooms that we were thinking about right here, we have a much better view of that, and we do have imagery to show that too. We did take a quick look at collections in this plan. So again, this is the master plan, understanding where things go, not having to necessarily commit to all this stuff, but that this is how we would break up the different collections on the floor. Some of the things that are going to be affected or that we're proposing would be affected are periodicals, which takes up this kind of area here. Please stop me if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. I wanted to give enough background so that when you start seeing where we're going and a lot of the decisions that were made, you can kind of see how this tracks, because this is a process of many workshops together. We don't just come and say, do you like it? And then like keep pushing it on you. This is intended to be good ideas from everywhere. So one of the things that we, with any project like this that we have to understand is where is the best place to start and stop. This is a small project. I'm not saying that the funds that you're putting in, the resources aren't small, but in construction-wise, it becomes a difficult task of where do we stop? Where does your dollar help you in the future? And where are we just artificially saying, we're just gonna stop because this is the scope? So we did do a lot of study as what could we do now that would have an economy of scale? Each dollar you spend can actually save money or cost more depending on how much you do. And that's just the nature of a smaller project. So what we're looking at here is, this is the side where we're doing the room, and this yellow area, because of where the old quiet study room was, we have to affect. There's no option here. We have to come outside of this room in some way and repair or replace the flooring, walls, and some ceiling in this area. That's not optional. What we're proposing is, in lieu of just doing this one area, and now we have a lot of different finishes coming together, how can we create a little bit more connected space? Also, we're going to be proposing relocating some of the collections here. If we're going to relocate collections, it would save money to do the flooring at the same time. Those two things absolutely go together. Whenever we do a flooring project for a library, we say, are the shelving in the right place? Because they're going to move them. Let's move them back to where you want them, not necessarily where they want to go. So ultimately, what the committee came together is that the one on the right, although maybe a little bit scope creep in terms of what we were planning to do, would make sense in more of a longer term vision. So we'll kind of talk about. So really what this is expanding some of the flooring out here and looking at a big piece of moving some of the collections. So I'm talking a little bit more about flooring, but I want to say we come up here where is the quiet study room? I think that was one of the biggest challenges with it. And if we stay within this area, we still have we do have to move some collection there. As you can see, the darkness of the shelving shows what we're moving. So we take some collection that is here, and we would move it down here. You're not losing or gaining any collection, it's basically all the same. In this option, we move more of the collection out of the way, so when you come up, you have a better view here, and then we consider adding a few new, more display-based shelving units to start that process of merchandising your collection a little bit more, which should help, will help with circulation. Our data has shown it absolutely works. My favorite story is we circulated dictionaries. You could call Winnetka Northfield, they will tell you. People started checking out dictionaries because we put them face up. I don't know who's checking them out, but it worked. So I think we're gonna be really talking about the direction the committee did. This was a group mentality, and it was something that we arrived at over multiple meetings. It wasn't something that we just decided. It was, this makes the most sense for the long-term vision of the master plan in the library. I wanted to get into some of the views. So this is the idea. This is more of a master plan finished view. Obviously, we're not really recommending that we move the staff desk yet. We're not doing a ton of this stuff, but the idea is that ultimately when you come up to the top of the stairs, you can see all the way back to this new flexible room. And then you can also get access to collections along the way. It's lower, it's easier. When you come up here, you can kind of see and get a little bit more sense of where you can go, and you can see all the way through back to the light. This is so we have a view from the top of the step looking back on this one, and then we do have it looking this way. So one of the opportunities that happened in the design was to create a different other seating and gathering space, and that's what you're seeing on this other slide here as you're looking at the new study room. This is kind of the outside space where we're able to add in a little bit more seating to the outside. You are also looking at some of the proposed finishes, but we're not looking to do all of the finishes in the space. We're looking to make a transition point and then cohesively kind of work them together for a period of time. Kind of an aerial view of the space, looking at how we wanted to go with a lot of flexible furnishing. So I'll actually start on the outside, looking at different areas where we can merchandise collections. We attach some periodicals over here. We have that kind of group seating zone over here. These are your existing collections down here, which are a little more gray. And then we have some lounge furniture that is, I have pictures of them coming up, and then we have movable tables in the middle. So the thought of this room is to be easily reconfigured. It can be used for just study, quiet contemplation during the day. It can flex into a book club room. It could be kind of reserved. It could be closed off so that it is much more quiet. It can be opened up. One of the main features of this room that we decided to add is this large sliding glass door, so this can be opened up and very inviting to anyone who wants to go there. We do also have another door here which can also be propped open. We do need a sliding door. The room's too big for a single sliding door. It's code requirement, so we have to also have a swing door. So you can see a kind of an image of that in the upper right and some of the mobile furniture that we're suggesting. Looking from the other way, we also did incorporate kind of a feature wall. This also has acoustical paneling in it, so other ways to kind of help noise within this space. The idea of this wall was maybe it's some display collections, maybe it's board games, things that would make this room a little bit more enjoyable for the people in there, give them options. As I promised, there are some furniture. So this is the direction we're going with the furniture. There is still some final selection to be done on this, but this is basically where we left off. So I wanted to give people an update on this, kind of a more sophisticated adult theme. This is, there's a slide coming up that talks about the existing finishes that you've already started on the first floor and bringing something up that melds with that very well. On the second floor, we're still respecting, we're not doing the whole thing. So we've got this kind of bridge. So some vinyls here, these are all vinyls, all wipeable, all cleanable, and then different
The gray
Oh,
one.
did you?
Yes, they actually have it.
Yeah. It looks like fabric, like it really
It really does until you go up to
and,
it.
like literally until you're up touching it. At least I thought.
We've used this chair in children's spaces with all the children stuff. And it's working out very well. So, additionally, these are some of locating some of the new shelving. We actually look at 42 or 48 inch high here, kind of work on that based on the collection numbers that we want to get together. And then some flat shelving over here for periodicals, looking at investing in some mag boxes, which allow you to more efficiently store magazines and newspapers. This is, I'm going to kind of walk through this finish palette because there's a lot. So on the left here, you have a lot of the existing finishes that are currently in your first floor. So we've got some flooring options, the tile options, some of the existing woods that are present. And then as we start going to the right side of the screen, we start looking at some of the finishes that we're planning to introduce upstairs. We are keeping it a little bit more in the cool range, but then we're bringing in some warmth through different fabrics and paints. So this is some of the paints that we're planning to use. We have carpet suggestions at the bottom. This is your existing carpet on the second floor. Maybe looking at possibly a transition carpet in some areas that can bridge that very light carpet that you have with maybe some of the newer carpets that add into what's going on this floor. And then some of these again are some of the fabrics that you saw on the previous slide for the furniture. All right, before I go into the budget, are there any questions about the design? Okay, let's go into the budget. So this is our current estimate that we did. So it's broken down into kind of three parts. We've got our construction costs. These are all things the contractors would do, furniture procurement, and then these are basically the overhead fees, that make up the total line at the bottom. Things we have included in here, this is all the demolition required up there. This is all the temporary protection. We're going to remain open during this project. So this is a phased, not phased, but you're not closing down operation during this. We are putting new lighting in the space, power data, fire alarm, moving sprinklers, and then you do have radiant heat panels in the ceiling. So we're maintaining that over your windows. That's how your windows don't fog up or get condensation. The sliding glass door is within this. Acoustic panels, shelving, the furniture is included in this. A few of the other furniture things that expanded outside the room, which would include the shelving and all the moving costs. So based on what you're moving here, we do have we did include costs for a library mover. This is a mover that can come and actually lift up the shelves with the books on them and move them around. And then there is a little bit of additional power and data that we would do outside the room as well, mainly in that space where the bench was. So that means everyone always wants power, so we're trying to make sure that we have that. So that is within the base, or that's what the current recommendation is. We do have a few things that we did want to point out in here that, if needed to, we could kind of scale things back. So we could reduce the project expense. That would mean going back to not really moving that many shelves, only moving shelves that we absolutely need to move. A reduction in how much carpet and flooring that we're planning to do. These two are really, actually the flooring and then eliminate the slider and go with more of a glass door are the main differences in the construction side. And it's not a huge amount of money. I think we're talking, this would be between $35,000 to $40,000 worth of savings. The main investment that we're looking at is bringing a lot of that shelving and furniture outside the space. And that's really what affects the furniture cost line the most. The fees, the C doesn't change no matter which option we choose. So if, again, this is the recommended budget from the committee, or the recommended, not budget, but recommended approach that we would take in the design from the committee, but we did want to respect that there are a few things that kind of went a little bit beyond what we were initially thinking, but we feel that those things that do go beyond our initial thoughts provide a lot of opportunities to make the space more open and accessible, and then extend that idea of collection browsing outside the space. Okay, I'm going to pause again for here. I can go to either one. The last piece that I have tonight is schedule, which is probably the easiest part about tonight. So, but I open it up for questions now.
I have two questions that
Yeah.
are not necessarily related to budget, but my first question was, when will we have to like put some of the collection in storage while you're doing the construction, or are we just gonna condense everything?
That would be, some of that we'll actually have to work out
Okay.
during CDs,
Yeah.
but the intention would not be to do that.
Okay,
What we would do is probably take up some of the seating areas in
Yeah.
that main open space with the collection we need to move. Our goal would be to have the mover here the least amount of time.
Sure.
The mover, not crazy expensive, but
specialized, so.
yeah, the most we can get out of them. So if we can do all the moves in a day, we can. Well, it'll probably be a day or a day and a half.
Okay.
So the intention would be not to put anything
Got it.
in storage.
Yeah, okay. And this might be too far ahead, but since we will be open during this, is there any thought to when the construction would be happening? Would that be, all
Oh,
the
during the day.
the noisy bits?
Yes. So, yeah, I can absolutely go through. Those are great questions to go through and really help communicating to your public
Yeah.
that use the space. So generally, contractors like to start around 6.
Mhm.
So what we like to do is try to get that 6 to 9 zone.
Mhm.
A lot of usually when we work with contractors, that's when they're bringing in all their materials
Yeah.
for the day. And sometimes that's when they're taking all the materials up from the previous day before, that kind of 3-hour window. They're usually done by 2:30. Some days might go a little longer, but 2:30 is when they end. So if we have had some libraries that say, hey, if you need more of a quiet space, it won't be that loud, but if you need more of a quiet space, it's after 2 o'clock.
Yeah, okay.
Come back. There might be days where you have to close. So there are 2 activities that are grinding the floors for the carpet. You have to grind the floors to get the adhesive off. That's why you get the warranty for the flooring. That day is not a great day. So we have had libraries either close the floor
Yeah.
or just say, we're gonna do a late start. We're opening at 2
Yeah.
on this day.
Mhm.
And so that would be stuff that we would have with the contractor. Usually we require them to have a 3-week look-ahead schedule, and we talk about that. The other thing is, which this isn't really big enough, is if we have to core the floor for power, but
Mhm.
that could be something that can be done in that first 3 hours. So
Yeah.
the
Interesting.
major thing would be
Yeah.
the grinding of the floors. I guess the other one is we do specify low VOC paints and adhesives. Low VOC doesn't mean low smell.
Mhm.
And we have had complaints on other projects when we put the flooring adhesive down that it's
Sure.
strong. So again, those days we may say late start,
Yeah,
open at 2.
makes sense. Thank you. Great questions. Yeah.
We do write that in, they have to coordinate, the schedule is a recommendation from the contractor to the library, and the library gets to approve the schedule. So, and that there are flexible times that the contractor has to work with the library about closing. I'm assuming you would use Dan for this, and Dan would be on top of this, as we would be there, but Dan would, we've worked with Dan before, we know how he works. So he would be making sure at every one of those meetings we're talking about late starts and
Yeah.
closures. Well, with those kind of talks about schedule, we are right about at the end of the design phase. Moving into CDs. CDs will actually go pretty quick for us because it's not a huge space. Go ahead.
What does CPs mean?
Construction documents.
Thank you.
Sorry. Construction documents, the documents for the contractors, We then move into bidding, public bidding. The quickest we see public bidding going is 42 days. It's not open to the bid, open to the bidders that long, but we're basically out for about 21 days. Once we get the bids back, we need some time to review them. We need some time to make a recommendation to you or get on your board review. And then we also put contracts in there, so that usually there's a week or two for contracts. So 42 days is kind of the minimum we say. It might go a little faster, it might be a few days longer. But. And then construction, we have basically starting as soon as schoolwork is done. So we are trying to target a fall project for this. We think you get the best bids if they can go right from school into your building and kind of close out by, kind of got cut off here a little bit, but by the end of the year would be our target.
Does construction normally slow down in the winter, or because it's an indoor project, it wouldn't really be affected?
Outdoor construction slows down. So yes, you'd be an attractive project, although you're in the beginning of the year. We specifically target we do a lot of libraries. We specifically target library projects to start exactly when schoolwork ends so that they can seamlessly transition. There's no downtime and then they can go right to it. I think based on when we're bidding, we're gonna see a lot of people, by this time already, everyone has all their schoolwork done. Everyone's lined up for the summer. And right around May, end of April, May is when people are lining up fall work. So I think we're gonna have a really good amount of participation and kind of hit the ground running. It doesn't really, interior construction does not slow down. I think that's the last slide.
I'm just thinking big picture about the design elements. Do you think what's being chosen is timeless enough, because this is like a project that's going in so many phases over so many years? Like, are we gonna be able to match what we're doing so it doesn't look patchwork enough with these choices? Like, I have no idea, I'm just asking you based on your experience.
So, it will all depend on how long you wait between projects. So the typical life cycle of carpet is 10 years. So you can kind of count on carpet being available for about 10 years, and then they're always bringing in new, but you can still go back and get it. So, yes, and I do think that one of the things is you're seeing that some of our palettes aren't exactly like what you have on your first floor, intentionally. But I think we're also looking at some things that are somewhat a little bit more neutral in this, so that if let's say a carpet like this is discontinued, transitioning into it is not going to be a big deal. The other nice thing that I think we're trying to do with this is actually create a zone here. All of this zone can feel more like something we could then have. Let me go back more. I want to get the full. So we're looking at this zone up here. This could be something else in the future, and then this could be something else. So I think, I'm not saying we would do that, but I think there's a lot of opportunities to say this is its own thing here. This could be its own thing, and this could be all tied together. I'm not saying how it finishes, but that idea that we're trying to pick more of a universal line. I will say, if we go back to this, I would assume in the future, whatever you do, whatever we put here is a sacrificial product. We would not. We would probably tear this back out. It's just not great lines to tie into. If the carpet's available, we absolutely would not do that. But this approach is more, this is probably something that we're okay in the future losing just the yellow, where this is something that I think we could use going forward.
And the carpet upstairs right now is like 25 years old?
The second floor of this building has not been touched, had new furniture, carpet since 2007. So it's no longer available by Shaw's standard.
There are some that
Which is
do
a public
last.
space that's used
I-
all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that.
on the palette that Sean showed us, that the carpet that's the existing one, we still had the mood board that they did from when they did the building in 2007, and some of us didn't necessarily recognize that that was the carpet. There's also like 3 or 4 complimentary carpets upstairs to the existing carpet. I didn't like in the tea room. There's a purple transition. I didn't even remember that. I remembered the maroons and greens, but yeah, we were very surprised when we saw it. We were like, oh, if it looks like it, yeah, it's not too bad, but it doesn't look like that.
Every 12 years, people walking out, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have 2 very random comments that on the schedule that are probably minor and of no
Spelling the checks.
significance. But I don't know if it matters or not, but I totally understand why you're tying in with the school year. This district school year got pushed back 2 weeks. So it starts on like September 1st or 2nd. I don't know if that matters or not, but thought
So-
I'd share it.
Probably not, only because the
Yeah.
first 2 weeks are gonna be putting up plastic and demolition, which are not the contractors.
And then, probably also not important, but just, the Cossett School is undergoing significant construction, starting over spring break, but it will go through the summer and through next year.
Okay.
I don't have a sense of what they'll be doing during the school year, but I'm thinking construction trucks and spacing with parking and that kind of thing. I don't know if that will be something to take into consideration, but just for awareness at this point.
So with the other issue we run into with a smaller project is because of the limited space, we have linear, we have to do more of a linear approach to construction. And what that means is we can't have too many contractors overlapping. Like you can have your framers over here and your electricians over here.
It's a small footprint.
We can only have so many contractors on site at one time. It's a lot like, it's absolutely not a bathroom, but in a bathroom, you have your demo guys come in, you have your plumbers come in, you have your they have their day,
Yeah.
and then they have to get out because
Yeah.
there's no room. And I think we're gonna see the same thing
Okay.
here. So I do think, we will have construction trucks and things, but it won't be a mess. It won't be anywhere near what they're doing if they're doing a school.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there will be carpenters here one day, and then,
It's important for us to be aware of that, though.
Yeah.
Just as we make decisions,
Yeah.
and you make decisions about closures. and
well,
stuff.
you have limited parking, and there's
Yeah,
limited
yeah,
street
yeah.
parking, so it is a very, that will be stuff we'll be talking about during CDs, is where we're gonna put the construction vehicles, and the dumpster, and all that fun stuff.
I'm sure you probably don't price it out like this, but do you know how much that yellow space would be? I'm thinking if you are saying once we do the larger space, you're just gonna get rid of it anyway. Like
Yeah.
what kind of a,
At that scale, I don't know the area, that's the problem. So, but I know the cost. The cost is, for this area, to be between $10 to $12 a square foot. I'm assuming that area, I'd have to calculate what the area is. I do know the difference between these two is about $8,000. So, because we have a budget, so between just doing this and just doing that, the delta's about $8,000 to just do this more carpet, so it's not a huge investment, which is why we're saying,
do that now?
if you did sacrifice this, you're also only sacrificing a couple, you'd have use of it, it's not like it's,
Yeah.
but it's a few $1,000s, it's not tens of thousands. That's a good question. So I don't know the cost of that, but I know if this is 7, this is probably like the 2 or the 3 range.
considerations, everyone, any other? Anything else for us, Sean?
No, I think, this, so I know a lot of effort went into doing this. This wasn't just something that was thrown together, and there was a lot of thought put into kind of all the decisions that were made and why things are where they are, and why the recommendation is tonight to proceed with this. So these are actually really good questions. I usually just say, yeah, thanks.
Cool. Lisa and Jess, do you have anything to share from the committee?
Yeah, it really was a well-rounded committee put together to get like the different feedback from staff on how people are using the room at different times of day and what our goals were for the space and the vision and everything. We had so far 3 committee meetings that were pretty lengthy. We were looking at carpet samples up in the room and, all that kind of stuff. So we put a lot of time into it and tried to be thoughtful about the space. And
I think the
the
employees gave good
recommendation.
feedback, like having
Yeah,
them
it was
sit
really
on there
good.
that work in the space and
Mhm.
like going over the different options. I thought they were just helpful, like in how you store the periodicals and like what the options were and how that would be beneficial for some of their collections. So that was interesting from someone who's not like using it on a day-to-day basis. So
Right.
I think it was good to have them sitting in on some of that.
Just from working from 2024 up until now, I think this will be such a dramatic change that you'll really see a positive, like a big impact.
Mhm.
A lot like, I think the work you did on the entryway.
Mhm.
I think people will hopefully be pretty amazed how we do.
Yeah.
And maybe give you a little bit of momentum if you want to place the carpet or continue with the study rooms. or
Yes,
however.
yeah. Get the ball rolling.
I'm most excited about, as I said, this floor hasn't been touched at all. So while the marketplace area on the first floor and the children's areas have been touched, that's for your families, that's for your run in and grab people. But I think a lot about how Sean mentioned, people that are really they're using this space so much differently than they did in 2007 when the building was built. So to take something like this and be able to reach out to the people that are coming in, it makes me think a lot about the people who might hear about it and then start coming in and start experiencing it in a different way. And, that always from a service provider standpoint for us, that's a really exciting thing. And having worked in libraries that have been through major renovation, minor renovations, like when you get to come and work in a space where your opinion was taken into account and you had input on it, it makes change, which is ridiculously difficult to deal with, just a little bit easier. And it's a lot of, again, like momentum is the right word. It's that momentum to reinvigorate a space that is, well loved, I think, but also, we've walked on the carpet, it's well loved. But at the same time, I just think about standing at the top of the stairs and being able to basically look all the way to the Grange Road. Like, that's gonna be such a fascinating, viewpoint.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time and the
Yeah.
opportunity tonight.
Thanks for
Thanks so
coming,
much
Sean.
for all the visuals and the numbers. Appreciate it. So do we have a motion to approve the recommendation of the committee to move forward with this budget proposal?
And, sorry, just to be clear, we're going with the full line one, like the 354, right?
Yeah, that was
Okay,
the
yeah.
recommendation
Yep.
of the committee, so that would be, I think, the motion to put forth right now.
And then just so we're talking budget-wise, like the portion of that would come from the separate budget, the building budget or whatever, right?
Special fund capital.
Special fund.
So, we can do that.
Okay.
We also have the untransferred net fund balance in our current account that we could use to fund this project without having to dip into the special building fund, so.
Okay.
Great. And we're fortunate to be able to do that.
Yeah, that was, it was not something we were planning to have happen until we received the audit successfully.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Can I motion?
Please do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yes.
motion that we move forward with the committee recommendation for the flex room space.
A second. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
Katie,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Chantal,
Aye.
Bentley,
Aye.
Jessica,
Aye.
Jennifer,
Aye.
Vicky absent, motion passed.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for the nice pictures. Yeah, I'm really excited about this project. I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be such a nice, glow up
needed.
for the second
Yes,
floor,
glow
you
up.
know?
Just excited for the second floor to get some love.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, yeah.
I mean, if they could have it done by the end of the year, that'd be kind of cool.
Can you imagine?
That'd be huge, yeah.
New Year's party
White room.
Well, this
You know, we do host the New Year's Eve party down here for the kiddos. Maybe we can host an adult New Year's Eve, do a balloon drop up there too.
Don't say it, you don't. Excellent. All right, so, moving on to, thanks again, Sean. Appreciate it. To draft budget discussion. Want to fill us in, Chantal?
Sure, so we just had our finance committee meeting right before this one, and we went through all the details of the annual draft budget. I think you all have the budget. Jen very nicely laid out some of the highlights for each section, you know, from income to expenditures. We did have a 3.4% increase in property tax revenue. We have increased Friends of the Library grants. Our interest rates are about the same. So that's some of the income highlights. Expenditures, we have one new part-time access services position for 19 hours, one additional day porter position, and we're adding back in some travel expenses. Let's see, other operating expenses highlights, the majority of line costs stayed stable. We increased building repairs due to aging infrastructure, which we all know about. And we reduced contractual and consulting fees. So those are kind of some of the highlights, but I don't know if anyone had any specific questions on anything that hasn't been either discussed in the committee meeting or just from, you know, looking at it on your own.
I just really appreciate this rationale document, Jen. It just really helps provide context for the numbers every time we
Yeah.
go through this, so, thank you for putting that together and giving us some context for what's going on, so.
It helps to like, it's part of our jargon and like what we think about every day, cause we look at the budget every, you know, well, not every minute of every day, but at least once a day.
Many minutes.
So to have it be hopefully translated to, you know, what our citizens need to know and see, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, it's translated and it's also very transparent, you know,
Good.
it's just
Yeah.
everything is laid out so clearly. So even down to like the $250, you know, coffee revenue, so, so thank you for that.
Good old vending machines.
Any other questions or discussion?
Thank you, so we'll come back to this next month for the final approval, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
and then hopefully we'll have heard about all of our March budget, FICA and all that fun stuff that gets updated.
Okay, so So, next up we have Joanne to share some info about National Library Week coming up next month and Staff Spirit Week.
Yes, next month is our National Library Week, which is going to be the week of April 19th to the 25th. So we're planning like we have in the past year, to do some type of event or activity each day of that week. And we also wanted to know if any of the trustees, as we did in the past, would come in and pass out treats to staff if anyone's willing to do that.
Sure.
We would welcome that. We'd be happy to have you guys do that. So just let me know if that's something anyone would like to participate in. And then also, we're gonna also be having 2 staff lunches that week. So we would welcome any trustees to come and participate with us. Would be greatly appreciated by the staff.
Okay.
And that will be Monday, April 20th, and then we'll have the second one on Thursday, April 23rd. So if anyone's interested, just, shoot me an email, let me know, and I can give you more details about the time. It'll probably be like between 12 and 2 span, so we can get both shifts covered.
And it would have to be no more than 2 of you, so that there's no a public
Exactly.
meeting and no talking about, library business. It's really just a meet and greet time with the staff. And also the treat card is always really,
Yes,
it's
they-
another kind of like low stakes way for them to meet you because you are all very intimidating to them, so.
They really enjoy
They get
that.
such a kick out of it, and I
Yeah.
think if any of you who have done it before, you can probably share, like, it's a low stakes interaction and there's caffeine on it. Sugar.
Any questions?
I will make sure everybody knows too, that is the same week as our board meeting.
Yes, it is.
So that's gonna be a Cuckoo Bananas week here at the library. We're also hosting a screening on that Friday evening of the Librarians, where we'll have a
It's a
panel.
busy week.
It's gonna be busy. We do not pick National Library Week. ALA tells us when it's National Library Week, so we were not consulted.
And it's later this year than usual, right? Do you know why that is?
I'm not, the only thing I could think of, their chair this year is Michael Threets, who you may have seen some of his stuff on social media. He's the unofficial chair, but he also is the new host of Reading Rainbow. So I was thinking maybe it had to do with like filming or something, if he's gonna be involved in different, they usually do a bunch of like promotional activities that week too. I thought maybe it had to do with that, but I'm not sure. Or something legislative happening. ALA has their hands full.
All right, so, thanks for that, Joanne. So the Cook County tax update, Jen, what do you have to
Yeah,
tell
so
us?
some of you already heard this at the finance committee meeting, but I just wanted to take a second and share a couple of things with you. So, all good news, by the way. I have had the opportunity to, we sent your resolution that you passed at the last meeting, and we got some innocuous thank you for your, we appreciate your feelings, board, from a few people. I had a lovely conversation with the Illinois State Library after they received it, so that was very fascinating to me, that they had as many questions as they did. They seemed fairly unaware of what was happening, but cool. We also, I had the opportunity to join some of my other library directors that have been talking through the challenges. We sat down with staff from Tony Preckwinkle's office to sit through and talk about the issues that libraries are now facing, because of some of the tax delays. And as a result of that, some new information came to light across my desk, which I was very excited to see. So despite the fact that the first tax payments do not go out until March in Cook County generally, when they're looking at their overall distributions, they are looking at them from January to December, because it's a rolling, they accept your tax payments at any time. So when I went back and I looked at our numbers, we actually have, by February 2nd of 2026, we have received 93% of our tax funding. So the only way that I figured that out was from a screenshot from the CFO of Cook County when I said, I know that number, what is that? And I confirmed that my suspicions were correct. So it's different from the way that we look at the budget here in the library. And I had a discussion with our financial advisor, and he had told me, he's like, you don't want to look at it as though your budget starts in January. It doesn't. Your budget starts and ends when your money is levied and when it's received. So really, we don't have to change anything that we've done. So just so you know that. We still, to date, we've collected 93% of the property taxes have been distributed to us. Overall, the village of Grange collected 98.7% of their property taxes according to a newsletter, not the portal that we're supposed to use because that's still not functional. They were surprised at how much we relied upon it, the one way that we get this info. So, but I happened to see it in the Maria Pappas portal newsletter. So, the other money, I'm very hopeful that that will come to us. Again, remember, we levy an amount that we get as much as we can in that 1 year, but it can still trickle in, right? Hopefully, we usually start to see some distributions this week and the following week in past years. So fingers crossed. No distributions have been received as of today. I checked with my other library directors in Cook County. They have not received any fiscal year, tax year 2025 tax distributions yet either. So, but we are hopeful. I've read the same articles you all that say there will be no further delays and they expect everything to be on time. So fingers crossed. And I email them every 48 hours asking when we can expect our other 7%. So, of course, the CFO is probably regretting that I got his email address. The worst he can do is not read it, but I'm still sending it. So I'll continue to keep you updated. Keep your eyes on your email. If I see something sooner, I will happily share it with y'all. That's the update.
Thank you. It's good to know we're in good shape, or better shape than we thought. Yes.
That's the right words.
Yes. Okay, so committee reports. I guess we've had quite the finance committee report.
Yeah,
so.
nothing else to add.
Nothing, okay. Friends of the library, Debbie.
Yeah, so there was a meeting today, I wasn't able to attend, but I have the notes from, so a couple of things to share. There was another group of grants approved, and I'll share what those are. They approved a grant for hot glue guns for adult crafting. All of the summer reading prizes for both adults and kids will be covered by the Friends of the Library. Games and game storage for the team room. Firefly Family Theater performance is going to happen in June, provided by Friends of the Library, as well as garden supplies to go with that. So those were some of the grants approved. They are already talking about the days that will be at the farmer's market. Looks like 2 days each month, which will be great. And then also to go along with National Library Week, Monday, April 20th, they'll be in the library lobby to talk about Friends of the Library. I also wanted to give you guys an update. We've had a couple of meetings on the foundation. I think last month I mentioned that the info night had gotten pushed. It got pushed to April 25th, so we were able to plan a little bit more. It's going to be April 25th from 1 to 3 o'clock at the Stadium Club.
And is that just like an informational come and go open house?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, so there'll be like light food and soda will be provided. And it'll just talk about the benefits of having a library foundation and just kind of trying to gain interest. So encouraging people to come just to learn more, not necessarily because you want to be on the board, but also that would be welcome to. Yeah.
Are they like advertising that, or how are they?
They're going to be.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
how are they trying to get other?
Yeah.
was in the newsletter.
The newsletter, that's where I saw it, yeah. Okay.
And they're allowing people to register if they want to.
Okay.
But if you don't register, I mean, you're still
Yes.
welcome to come.
Right.
People have been registering, so that's
Good.
good.
That's good. Great. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Any news to share?
I took some notes. Not a whole lot of new information there. They're just continuing, they say, to protect intellectual freedom and access to materials through their support both statewide and nationally to try and help with the calls on censorship and banning books and things like that. They're also monitoring state level funding and legislative priorities that are impacting operations, staffing, equitable access and things like that. There are several professional learning opportunities. Jen sent those out in email too. So around using AI and digital tools, community engagement strategies to increase usage and relevance, equity-centered programming to better serve diverse populations, so lots of webinars that folks can sign up for. They're really designed to help the library staff adapt to the changing user needs and expectations. And then under like funding and resource support, Rails is promoting grant opportunities and shared resources that libraries can use to expand their services in technology improvements, workforce and staff development, and then community-based programming. I assume that the library is looking into the grants that they would qualify for. And then under equity and access and community impact, there's also just an ongoing emphasis on that to ensure that communities, regardless of size or funding, have access to high-quality library services. So Rails is working to provide toolkits, training, networking opportunities for that equity and access.
Policies, Lisa. We have no updates at this time. Do you have any policies on deck that you're?
We do.
I'm sure you have a few.
Yes, definitely. We've got, I think we have, this next one is going to be, I think we have a list of 3. I'm trying to think back into that Excel spreadsheet that we had for that. But I know that one of the leadership team and I were talking today about delving more into writing something around AI. I know that that was a policy we had talked about, I think, last year at this time, and it just got kind of pushed back in favor of other stuff. So, you know, I like to involve the staff when I can, so hopefully I'll be able to work with Kim's the person who's involved in that, so we'll be able to work on some of that a little bit too. Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
TBD.
After the budget, right?
Yes.
We can do this.
Okay, and then village news. Jess, do you have anything to share?
Nothing really that correlates with the library necessarily. I still haven't heard anything in regards to their financial transparency. But there's always multiple people there to ask them every week, every meeting about it. And I'm sure there's gonna be more people talking about the rain the next week. It's a very popular discussion, but nothing that directly affects us.
Jen.
So I'm happy to answer any specific questions that you have regarding the director's report this month, but some of the great stuff that has happened, we are ready in the next 2 weeks. We will be launching our workshops with Lions Township High School regarding the Library Pathways Scholarship. So 2 staff members will be spending, I wanna say there's over, I wanna say there's 5 sessions each day, so there's 10 sessions. There's over 100 students that their teachers are bringing their classes to the library, to the Lions Township Library to be able to talk with our librarians about this specific Carnegie Grant Scholarship, so we're really excited. This is our Carnegie Library. If you haven't seen it, it was on the copy of our newsletter. So that's been great. One of our shelvers attended youth mental health first aid training at the Lions Public Library, which I love. Young is one of our long-serving shelvers, so that's really exciting. We've been working out ways to bring our books to other community spaces. So some of our audiobook CDs, they realized that Aspired Living would like to have a collection of books on audio CDs. So we have been, when we have some that we're discarding, we've been sending them over that way. So that's really a nice way to share the shelf, as we do with our kids' books to the schools. We do that as well. I had the opportunity to work 2 different events with my fellow Rotarians. I did the Soup and Bread event to benefit Beds Plus. And then we also had the opportunity to do the Building Inclusive Communities Conference. That's early in February, held at, again, the high school. One of the things that I don't know necessarily that Sean got to hit on, but you know, when we did the facility improvement plan in 2024, the library had committed to doing some like internal shifting and things like that. So for the teen space to be what it is, we moved the teen collection out of that room and moved it into the regular shelves. So when they came back, they were like, oh, you guys have been busy. You've been doing a lot of stuff. So that's why he was very proud, I think, of the collections numbers. But the other thing that we were able to accomplish is we are working on, we don't have a separate section for our biographies, and we are pulling those out and creating a biography section. So that's why you'll see now in new nonfiction, there's a biography section. So it's a new way to help make the collection more browsable for people that are just interested in biographies. They don't have to go to the different subject areas. So that'll be really exciting. And then, yeah, were there any other things you'd like to hear more about? But otherwise, it's been advocacy all day. It has been budget all evening.
It's been busy. I mean, I feel like that's every month, but this month just felt like there was a lot going on. For February, I guess, being a short month, expectations were low.
You would always hope, right? And we do have a new staff member starting next week. As you know, Miss Patty's retirement celebration with the public will be this Saturday. She is retiring. Her official date is April 3rd, but our new librarian will, her name is Emily Mazzaros. She'll be starting on March 23rd so that they have a little bit of time to overlap with each other, because Patty has been here for 3 years. So to have some time to connect with her has been really important. But otherwise, kicking along as we do.
I know Emily, she's fantastic.
You do?
She's gonna be,
Cool.
yes, an excellent addition to the staff, so.
Yeah, it
good
was,
pick.
it was cool to, when we did that hiring committee, we had it wasn't just managers, we had some people from the department have the first chance to sit in on an interview, just for their learning and to expose them to something different. So for them to see our hiring process for the first time, because some of them have worked here for a while. So for them to see how we do it now versus maybe when they were hired, 5-10 years ago. But it's again, another great way to make change a little more tolerable, is to make people feel heard and accepted. So I also next month look forward to presenting to you the results of our workplace climate survey. We were going to originally talk about it tonight, but after talking with Katie, we said there's a lot happening. Let's save that for next time. So you'll get to see those results next time too. That's it for me. Wait, Julia. Sorry. I did send you via email the statement of economic interest. So when you see that, you do have until May 1st to complete it, but I'm going to talk about it early and often. It's not spam, it's a real thing, and it does take some time to put together. Again, it's a transparency vehicle for Cook County. I'm a trustee in DuPage County, so I have to fill it out in DuPage County and Cook County, but luckily I can reuse the same information, but I do have to fill it out twice for some reason. And then the other thing, just to point out, some of you have said that you would like to attend the Laconia Trustee Banquet that's held in Oak Park at the 19th Century Charitable Club. But if you would like to attend, you are certainly more than welcome to. It is earlier this year, it's April 17th. I know usually it's in May, and that's been a little bit harder. So the group is trying a different date this year. And you can always email me if you're interested. I'm making sure I hit on everything.
Did you want to say anything briefly about the email you shared about the ebook legislation?
Oh, sure. So you may have seen that ILA, the Public Policy Committee, which is another group I've been kind of chatting with a little bit, is asking for the support of libraries and library supporters on a House Bill, I think it's 5236, and that is the Digital Libraries Protection Act. So what it is asking us to do, or what it serves to do, is to help with the libraries to not be held by the price standards that we are for e-content. You know, it's a huge expenditure here in our library, it's a massive collection. However, we're paying 4 and 5 times what the average consumer pays for purchasing e-content. And we have circulation restrictions and things like that. So there's legislation that has already passed in a few states, and this bill, should it pass, would allow the state library to do some negotiation on behalf of libraries and give us a little bit more control over those collections. So looks like it's going through the Consumer Protection Committee, and that's how they are approaching it. There was a call earlier this week that was put out for witness slips, and I don't know if you have ever filled out witness slips before, but they're actually very impactful. Yesterday there were probably about 300 filled out, and I checked before this meeting, and I want to say we're at almost 800. So there's a lot of supporters coming out and saying, hey, let's let libraries be able to advocate for their patrons and the tax dollar. So instead of being held by publishers, we're hoping that we'll be able to come together and raise our voices with other states that are passing it or have similar legislation. So it's a collection that is so popular, and it's just
And it's only gonna grow.
ridiculously expensive. And when these deals were made 10, 15 years ago, when e-readers first came out, you know, they had no way to really understand how streaming materials would work. So that's why it made sense. Oh, a physical book can only circulate 26 times on average before it has to be pulled from circulation from wear and tear, etc. So we'll set up our policy, you know, our sales so that that's the case. But then digital rights management has expanded, and now, so even if it's either 26 circulations or 2 years, whatever comes first. So, you know, it's trying to compare apples to oranges in a way. I don't think anybody's ever accidentally torn a page out of an e-audiobook, but that's just me. But yeah, it's really reassuring and refreshing. One other thing that's happening at the federal level, just to make sure that you're aware of it too, there's a House Bill 7661, and it's called the Stop the Sexualization of Children Act. And essentially what that's trying to do at the federal level is to disallow the purchasing of materials. I believe it's restricted to school libraries at this point in time, but it may expand. Anything else that is deemed to have sexual content. And the bill specifically uses the phrase that promotes transgenderism. I want to say it says gay agenda, I'm not 100% that, but the terrible word transgenderism is in there. And it specifically names using these 2 lists that are considered canon lists for children and canon lists for teens that were prepared in 1990. So I saw it did pass the House today. I don't know how far it will get in the Senate, but anytime someone at the federal level is telling you what you can read, we should all be very aware of that. So, it's been rough out there for the advocacy level lately. But yeah, it's one I know that we are all kind of watching closely, so again, if I see more information, I'll pass it along your way as
It's
well.
a poorly named law.
How are you gonna
Yeah.
look if you vote against the Stop the Sexualization
Like, when
of
you
Children?
said it, I was like, what could be wrong with this?
And even worse, it went to the federal level because I believe the person that did it is a very conservative representative from Illinois. So it would never pass in Illinois, so they put it to the federal level.
I think it just needs like more lights on it, what it really is representing, or what it, yeah, because if you just say the name.
I mean, and we could point out that the companies that founded these lists that were written in 1990 are funded by direct supporters of very restrictive religious values as well.
Yeah.
That's what we mean
Well, I
by
was
that.
thinking some of the books I read might be because I know. Yeah.
Well, thanks for those updates, Jen.
Of course.
Appreciate that. I have a few trustee comments, but before I start, does anyone have anything to share or add?
Oh, I just have one thing. Well, I had a girlfriend, her daughter's doing her Eagle Scout project, and she came and presented to the library, and it was approved. So she's gonna be doing, putting together, from my understanding, it's like sensory packets for different kids who can't, like, absorb things differently. So it'll be like kids who have varying degrees of issues or ways they communicate, and she'll put like a little baggie together that they'll be able to use, and they'll have it, I don't know if it's in the children's section,
Yeah, it's an adaptive book.
adaptive book kit, so she's gonna be doing that for her Eagle, Liza Sherman, so, for her Eagle project, so she presented last week, so that was cool to share.
Yeah, and we're gonna work with her to help her understand collection development
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff too, so she's very eager.
Yeah, she was super excited.
That's awesome. So great, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you have them.
Yeah.
So just a couple of reminders. I shared with you all Jen's self-evaluation and then the evaluation document that we'll use, that I'm asking everyone to get back to me with your comments by March 30th. So if you have any trouble with that, just reach out to me, but I'm hoping to be able to compile all those to share back a draft compiled document with you by April 15th. So you have some time to review it, and then we can discuss at our April 21st board meeting. And I have a question for you. In the past, we've done it a couple different ways. We've met in a special meeting outside of the board meeting to kind of review and come together. Last year, we met immediately before, similar to how we do the finance committee meeting. We can do that, or we can just do like a short closed session within the meeting itself. Do you have any thoughts about how you want to approach this? I will say that there were pretty minimal, were you with us last year?
I don't know that I was at the short meeting.
Yeah, but it seemed to work well. Like, I think there weren't a lot of substantive changes to make, so that kind of consensus meeting went really smoothly, I think.
And that was before the board meeting at like 6 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that
That's
works
fine with me.
to get
You
it.
want to just do
earlier.
before? Okay,
Fine.
so, okay, that's great.
She'll do it. What time do you want us to put that on the agenda? A
Maybe
special
an
meeting?
hour?
I don't think, we only did a half an hour last time, so do you want to do 6:30? Is that
6:30?
good with everyone?
This is on the 21st.
This is, immediately before our regular board meeting. Okay. The other thing is, it's time for us to start thinking about the board for next, board year, which begins in May. That's when we have our like reorganization meeting. My term is up, so I will be passing the reins on. I will be meeting with Lisa to kind of coordinate a nominating committee as specified in our bylaws so that we can kind of identify some options for the next board. But Chantal, think about if you want to continue as treasurer. I'll be in touch with Vicki as well about secretary, and then Bethany, Jess, and Jen. If you want to think about if you're ready to step into a new role, what might work for you. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. And then we
Question
will-
about the term, you said yours is up, are they 2-year terms?
They're 1-year terms.
Oh, they're 1-year terms, so,
Yeah. Mhm.
okay.
Right, so, at least they are in our bylaws
Okay.
as, right, for right
Good to
now.
know.
That is something we could reconsider.
The president is term limited. I don't know off the top of my head if any other ones are.
Oh, that's.
You can only do 3.
Yes,
in a row.
because I'm done.
I
mean,
what?
that came out wrong.
3 years, right? Like 3
Oh.
3 back-to-back terms.
Got it.
I don't think that's it. Well, I could look
Yeah,
actually
we
right
can-
now
we
if
can
you
look
want.
these things up, but.
I will look that up for you.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll be thinking about that, and we'll have a slate of candidates to present at the next meeting for approval. We'll vote on it for May. So just a heads up on that. And then the last thing, I just wanted to shout out to Jen last night. She was recognized at Lions Township during the board meeting for her work on the Building Inclusive Communities Conference, which was just a great honor to see her, recognized in that way. And just the library, Liz was mentioned as well, but to see us as part of that work and building our community and, that we're a player in that, made me very proud. So kudos to Jen.
Thank you.
That's it for me.
Term of office, is that?
It says officers shall serve a term of 1 year or until their successors have been elected, and should not serve more than 2 consecutive terms, except president and treasurer, who may serve 3. So you could, but you don't have to.
Got it. Just wondering.
You are always allowed to say no. I say that to my staff, I'm saying it to you. You're allowed to say no.